If you're trading futures, gold, or even forex, this is going to apply to you because every market opens the same way with an auction. And in the first hour, that auction leaves a footprint that we call the initial balance. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through how I use the initial balance as a structural tool to frame every single trade, no matter what market I'm trading. And more importantly, I'm going to show you how the VWAP Wave system's 4 core setups, price discovery continuation, fade value area extremes, return to value, and the VWAP bounce all work seamlessly with the initial balance as your roadmap. We're going to cover the exact initial balance time windows for each market. Index futures like the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow, and the Russell 2000, that's going to be 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, regardless of what session you're trading. Gold, that's 8:20 a.m. to 9:20 Eastern Standard Time, again, regardless of what session you're trading. It stays the same. In forex, each currency has its own opening time. So I created a cheat sheet that's available in my free Discord for you to be able to look up the initial balance time for whatever currency pair you're trading. The same logic applies. No matter what market you trade, that first opening hour defines the landscape. And once you understand how to read that landscape, you're going to stop guessing. This is just like the VWAP and the deviation bands in the VWAP Wave system. The rules don't change. You're just using the initial balance as your structure. The same setups apply, and we look for the same criteria. Are we in balance or are we in imbalance? Is there acceptance or is there rejection? And when the setup is there, we execute with precision. By the end of this video, you're going to know how to define the initial balance on any chart. You're going to be able to use it to anchor your 4 core VWAP Wave setups. You'll be able to identify which setups fit the context of the current market, and you'll be able to confirm entries using structure and order flow. No lagging indicators. So let's get into the charts. This is a 5-minute chart on gold. To be specific, this is GC, the CME's gold futures contract. First of all, to install the initial balance indicator, you're going to go to Indicators on TradingView. You're going to search the initial balance, and you're going to select this one right here by Trader Drysdale. Okay. Once it's installed, all right, you're probably going to have to change the settings a little bit. Okay, depending on which contract or product you're trading, you need to adjust the initial balance time. The initial balance time on gold, for example, is 8:20 a.m. to 9:20 a.m. Okay, that's the first hour of trading. By definition, the initial balance is always the first hour of regular trading hours. It's not the first 15 minutes. It's not an orb. It's not an opening range breakout trade. It's the initial balance. By definition, it's been that since the 80s. All right, why is it not an orb? Because it's not always a breakout trade. An orb is an opening range breakout. All right, we're not always looking for a breakout. Therefore, it is not always an orb. Okay, so it's not an orb. Opening ranges also tend to be less than an hour. They tend to be as low as 30 seconds to 5 minutes to 15 minutes, maybe 30, but they're usually not an hour-long opening. The opening is long gone by an hour in. It's not the opening range anymore. Okay, so it's not an orb. I get that comment all the time, and it's very frustrating, but it's not an orb. It's just not. It's the initial balance. I didn't invent it. It's been around for a very long time. Okay, another question we always get is, okay, it's 8:20 to 9:20 Eastern Standard Time. What's the time for the the London session? Well, it's still 8:20 to 9:20 Eastern Standard Time. Well, what about the Asia session? It's still 8:20 to 9:20 Eastern Standard Time. The time and the levels don't change depending on what session you're trading. Okay, the levels stay the same. You mark and anchor the initial balance to New York time, and you trade those levels through London and through Asia. Okay, nothing changes. Why is that? Okay, the gold, the CME gold product, the GC contract, is the single largest and most liquid gold product in the entire world. Okay, I don't care if you're trading AUX, USD, I don't care if you're trading spot gold. All right, as far as centralized data goes and a centralized exchange, all right, the GC is the most liquid and volume traded contract available. Okay, so that's why we use it. And the official CME's opening time for the gold contract is 8:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, that pit used to open at 8:20, and it's still the electronic open for the regular trading hours for gold. Okay, so that's why we use it. The time doesn't change. This is the open. This is the first hour of regular trading hours for gold. It doesn't change. Okay, I'm going to say it one more time to really make sure this sinks in. It doesn't matter what session you're trading. The time stays the same for 24 hours, and you don't get a new initial balance until the next day at 9:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time when this hour closes. These levels stay the same throughout London and Asia. Okay. You can leave all of these on default. All right. These settings are perfectly fine to use as is. Okay. You might want to see previous levels from previous days. So you can unchecked only display the current IB levels because you're going to want to see the previous day. Otherwise, everything could stay the same and then just customize it per your preference. Okay. There is a analytics box, and you can't see it because my screen is covering it. You should see it now. Okay, this is based on the last 20 trading days. All right, this is the average size of the initial balance. So it's been close to $16.59. All right, has been the average initial balance over the last 20 days. The largest initial balance we've had is $30.20. The smallest initial balance we've had is $7.70. So this gives you perspective on how volatile gold is, right? Based on how big the initial balance is. And it'll give you today's. Today's is $21.90. And this is about average. It's about a medium size initial balance. Okay. So this Delta analytics gives you good insight early on in the session of how volatile gold is being. Okay. Now, if you're trading different markets, the time changes. Okay. If you're trading the NASDAQ, okay, this is my quad chart. I'm going to get rid of my other indicator here. The initial balance is 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. And again, this stays the same through London and Asia. All right. These levels do not move. All right. Just like yesterday, if you were trading at 11:30 at night, we're trading these levels. Okay. By 8 o'clock in the morning, we retraced at the extension lines. So the lines you see here, this is the initial balance high. This is the initial balance midpoint. Let me get my drawing pool here. All right. So this is the initial balance high. This is the initial balance low. All right, this is the IB midpoint, the exact midpoint of our initial balance. All right, so you can consider the initial balance high to be the value area high. All right, if you understand VWAP Wave, midpoint is going to be our point of control, and the IB low is our value area low. Okay, then we have these extensions. Okay, let's go over these extensions a little bit. All right, this is a 50% extension. This is a 100% extension, and this is a 200% extension. All right, what does that mean? Well, if we were going to take the size of our initial balance, right, the exact size of the initial balance again is 100%, and then again is 200%. All right, so these are just measured moves, and this is kind of the IB mid, right, for the next extension zone. These levels are also highly respected, and they work excellent, especially on gold, throughout the Asia and the London sessions. So that's why we keep the levels the same, because these are often very important levels that are highly respected. Now, there is a quirk with the US equities on futures. For whatever reason, it might be because of CME, Chicago time, or what have you. But I'm in Eastern time, and I have to set the indicator to 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. for it to appear on 9:30, 10:30 a.m. Okay, that's not a problem with the indicator. It's the problem with just the data provided on US equities by the CME. This happens on other indicators included in TradingView, like the session volume profile. You have to change that as well. So it's not a problem with my indicator. It's a problem with the data for whatever reason on US equity futures like ES, NQ, and the like. It doesn't happen on gold, right? So I set the normal time 8:20 to 9:20 on gold, and I get 8:20 to 9:20 on the screen. Okay, so it doesn't happen with the other products. It's just the equity indexes, okay, is what it is. Now I've created a cheat sheet that's absolutely free. It's available in my free Discord. So just get into my free Discord, go over to free stuff and look for the initial balance open times. All right, the cheat sheet. All right, so these are all the trading hours listed. This is the regular trading hours of each and every product. So you're going to use these as your initial balance the first hour. So here we have the US indexes, of course, 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Gold, 8:20 to 9:20. Silver, 8:25 to 9:25. Copper, 8:10. Platinum, 8:20. Crude oil. All the energies are 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then you have the currencies, like the dollar, the euro, the British pound, Australian dollar, treasury bonds, wheat, etc. Okay, they all have their own unique times. Just make sure you're following the cheat sheet. Okay, you can see them all here. This is the entire cheat sheet. You're welcome to screenshot this as well. Okay, so what's also available in my Discord is the VWAP Wave course setup guide. This goes over the 4 core setups I use in the VWAP Wave system. Has all of the principles. This is a different video you can find on my YouTube. But this is based on the VWAP with 1 standard deviation. Okay, so you should download this. Even though we're using VWAP, you should start looking at VWAP as well. But as far as the initial balance goes, the setups stay exactly the same. All the principles apply. So how you look at this is the upper band is initial balance high, the VWAP is the IB mid, and the lower band is the initial balance low. All right, so the price discovery continuation is going to be long off of the initial balance high or low, a short off the initial balance low. Fade out value area extremes will be shorting the initial balance high to the midpoint or other side of value, or longing the IB low back to IB mid or even IB high. All right, so we're fading the balance area. We expect to stay in balance. We have the return to value trade. So that's when we're trading outside of the initial balance, and we return to the initial balance, expecting it to go back to IB mid or even the other side of value, the other side of the initial balance. And lastly, the VWAP bounce. This would be a bounce off the IB mid, essentially, okay, using that midpoint. Now there's an advanced setup called the extension fade, which is not in the 4 core setups. It's in my advanced playbook. You can find that in my premium Discord in the full entire course. You can pick up a 1-week free trial and go through the entire course. All right, so you'll learn all 4 of the core setups as well as my 4 advanced playbook setups. Okay, and that's where you'll find the initial balance fade and the higher time frame fade, which is using previous day's initial balance. Okay, so let's go over the different setups. First, we're going to go over the price discovery breakout or the price discovery continuation. Okay, this setup, what we look for is a break of the initial balance and hold or acceptance above it. In this case, we got the break. It never looked back. All right, so you had to buy the breakout. We sold off a little bit at the IB extension 2. We pulled back, and you could have grabbed another long. This would be a price discovery continuation trade, break and back test long. Okay, so this is one setup, the price discovery breakout. All right, we broke the IB, small fade short, the break, back test, and long. Okay, so that's the price discovery, continuation, and breakout. Here's another variation where we broke the initial balance high. We went all the way to the initial balance extension. We came back, we back tested it to the tick. We held, and that was where your nice long setup was. All right, so this is a price discovery continuation, break of initial balance high, back test long. Let's talk about fade value area extremes. This is where we break above and poke through initial balance and reject. Okay, so we look for the rejection at the initial balance high or low, and we short this back to the IB mid. And look, it went to it right to the tick. All right, held these levels. Same story. We broke the IB low. We reclaimed and back tested the IB low, and that triggered the long to IB mid. All right, so we're looking to fade the value area extremes back to the IB midpoint. All right. Sometimes you can get lucky and hold a runner to the other side of value. Okay, this would be a return to value trade. So as you can see, we spent considerable time trading below the initial balance low. This is about half an hour. Okay, so once we re-break into value, you could go long. This didn't quite get to IB mid, but you could have grabbed some nice 20, 30 ticks there. All right, and we got the setup again as we traded another 20 minutes below IB low, and we got the break. All right, right back to IB mid. All right, so this is when we come back into the initial balance. Here's a trade in NQ where we spent considerable time trading below the initial balance low. Look, we went to the 50% extension mark, traded about it for 15 minutes. Great fade point to go back to IB low. And then we returned to value, buying on the back test of the initial balance low, and we went straight to IB mid, almost to the tick. All right, these levels are being constantly respected. All right, here's also IB mid, extension, all right, IB high. All right, so excellent levels to trade. Return to value when we trade some time outside of the initial balance and we return back into the initial balance. It's a mean reversion trade. Lastly, we have our variation on the VWAP bounce. That's essentially using the IB mid as a target point or a bounce point, quite often respected throughout the session. Here we have a break of the IB mid, a back test, and look how strongly we held this support. We held that line for 40 minutes before it moved upward. All right, so that'd be a break and bounce. Here's another break above IB, bounce the tick, and up we go. So those are the 4 core setups. In the advanced playbook, you do get the extension fades, but again, that is an advanced trade. These trades play out over and over again. Spend a little time, put this indicator on your charts, and go back test. Go look at these setups and materializing day in and day out. Not just only gold, but many different products as well. If you're trading ES or NQ, SPY, SPX, stocks, currencies, forex, commodities. This stuff is always playing out day in and day out. And my VWAP Wave system core setups mimic these moves with clear, defined setups that you can take each and every day. I also have a book available on Amazon, the VWAP Wave system, based on these core principles that play out in the market each and every day. I have a very popular community, which is absolutely free. I stream live on YouTube every morning from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I stream for free, and then there's also a premium stream, which is low latency, only by a second. The YouTube, unfortunately, is delayed by a few minutes. So the quality on Discord is much higher in the premium membership. So I hope this helps, guys. This is us going over the initial balance, how to trade it, how to look for it, how to set up your charts on any product or market, and then how to look for the 4 core setups. I encourage you to put this indicator on your charts. Initial balance by Trader Drysdale. Make sure to put in the correct time for each day. Go back and watch these levels play out and be respected over and over and over again. It's an extremely powerful tool and trading system. I hope you come join us in the community. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel so you get alerts on new videos, and join the live stream. And I hope to see you in the group. Happy trading.